What's going on, everyone? Welcome to another edition of the 49 Carats 49ers Fan Cave Tour, virtual tour that is. Today, joining me is another 49ers fan, Dom. Dom, how are you doing today, man?
Good. How you doing?
I am good. First, tell us, where are you from? Where's your fan cave located?
Yeah, so I'm in Columbus, Ohio, the heart of Buckeye country, Cleveland Browns, Bengals fans all over the place. But down here in Columbus.
Oh, this is so awesome that I've done 4 of these, right? And to this point, none of them have been from the Bay Area. Like all of the fans have been outside of California, which I think is incredible because it shows exactly the impact of 49ers fandom. We are everywhere, all right? Even the East Coast. So Ohio representing here.
Oh
I
yeah.
love that. So I think this makes this next question, and the first question I always start with, extra interesting. How did you become a 49ers fan? When did that happen?
So I thought about this. I mean, because I'm in my 40s, so I'm a kid of the 80s, and obviously the Niners were on TV a ton. So that's probably where it came from. But to be honest with you, when I reflect back, it's all about the vibe to me. Like I was California dreaming when I was a young kid. Looking at lowrider magazines. I was listening to Pac and E40 growing up, and I mean they all, that entire vibe that was out there, really struck, with me on the West Coast. And of course the Niners in the Bay Area played a huge part. And it was just one of those things that had always carried with me, growing up, to the fact that I actually wanted to live in California. I spent about 7 months out there. I actually worked for Netflix for a couple of years, and they had their old DVD facility out there in Sunnyvale. And I mean, I was soaking it up when I was out there, just the entire vibe and just, everything about California. To me, it's the vibe. And, as I show you my space today, it's kind of like that. I don't have a ton of crazy memorabilia down here, but it's all about the vibe. My son, who's in his 20s now, he's kind of starting to take it, and he's a huge Niners fan. He couldn't be here today. He's on vacation in between school, but we vibe out down here. This is our space on Sundays. So I kind of started back then that way.
All right, yeah, and that's the awesome part too, is that just out of coincidence and just the way it's worked out, all the people that I've done these tours with so far have included their children in it because I think truly their children share this space, their family shares this space with them, and I think that's really special. So just, having a shared space to embrace the 49ers and
Yeah.
celebrate the 49ers is truly awesome as well. So
Yeah.
you said so what was the year that you started the fan cave? How long has it been now?
It's going on my third or fourth year. Well, maybe the fifth year we've had this house. So, I mean, I've been collecting stuff over the years and just really hadn't had a space to really kind of vibe out with. So, I finally got it in place. When I first moved in, you'll see one of the walls I painted, red and white to kind of, represent like the faithful flag. And man, I'll tell you what, that red paint took me forever. I had to do 3 or 4 coats to get it on the wall. It's kind of crazy, but yeah, it's been about 5 years now, actually.
And then, so when you started, did you start with the intention of it being a fan cave, or did it sort of start with a few items and then before you knew it, you had an entire room full of it? Or did you always have the intention?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it was just a collection over time. I mean, I had a lot of trinkets and cards and memorabilia from as a kid, when I could get them, and it just continued to grow and grow and grow and grow and grow until it got to this point where I have this mass amount of stuff. And then it started turning into the idea that I could actually utilize it to really represent kind of my space during game days. So
All right, so to this point, a few years under your belt, working on your fan cave, how much money do you think you've spent on your fan cave so far?
probably not a ton, probably a couple $1,000 maybe here or there. I mean, so I got I'll kind of briefly shut in. It's not necessarily 49ers, but I got another part down here. It's kind of like an arcade for people to come down to when they're not really there. They'll come to watch the game, but maybe they're more interested in, other stuff though. But a couple $1,000. I mean, I don't, like I said, I don't have a ton of crazy stuff. It's more about, like the collection of things and, things I can find on eBay or OfferUp or whatever else. Cause I mean, out here, thousands of miles away, you don't really get to find a lot of the cool stuff, I'm sure, that's out there in the Bay, so.
Yeah, for sure. So it sounds like you've got something for anyone who comes through.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I think at this point, I am ready to see this space. I can just tell you're chomping at the bit too. So let's just get right into it.
First off, I got to start off with the Mr. Relevant jersey.
Hey.
My son made this at some point. So, and then I've been back and forth about Levin on the gold standard about this one. I got the drenched P. Willie. That's one of my jerseys right there.
Wow,
I
that's nice.
normally wear that jersey on real gritty game days. So
How'd you get the that's custom obviously. How'd you get the red numbers and font?
no, that was actually I'm almost positive it was like not a finish line, like a Champs special release. I mean, I got it
That's
aftermarket though, but
clean.
like yeah, it's like you see them pop up occasionally, but very rarely, and it's like it's the one I hold on to. I have to wear those when we get those gritty games. I got like a little juju with that jersey. So
Love it.
all right, I'm going to flip over and kind of start walking through. Obviously, we got the TV, got the gold standard. Shout
Oh, let's go.
yeah, oh yeah.
Shout out Jay.
Yep, I got P. Willie signed jersey. Non young Rice, Montana top 5 player ever in the Niners. And of course Young as well. So let's see here. Got the Glance LED reminding us we got about 60 some days until the
Here we
49ers
go.
kick off.
Nice.
So yeah. And then over the time I've just kind of amassed jerseys on the wall of stuff that I lost a lot of weight, so you can't really fit into them anymore. They're like drapes on me, but got the jerseys up there. I got the wall that I painted, which I'll get to the memorabilia side of that, but just some rando magazines and stuff that I collected over time, like just the highlights as from a kid, like the real Super Bowl, Ricky Watters. You got that infamous cap right there.
Let's zoom into that one, because that is one of my favorite Sports Illustrated covers, I think. And I remember when they stopped making the magazines, there was threads on Twitter, and I was like, what do you think about when you think of Sports Illustrated? This cover for me is the one, because that era was such a moment in time for us 49er fans, and that was an incredible just week for 49er fans, and that's a memorable one. I love that.
It just encapsulates, just the transition that we went through, what that team went through, and just kind of the rise. I mean, unfortunately, I got the kind of like the year right before, that's an iconic picture as well,
So another one, yep.
And another couple Youngs right there, right before the Super Bowl, and of course, I'm in Buckeye country, so I got to represent both pretty well. So see here, a little small stuff over here, just stuff I've collected as a kid, cards and little, guys and, glasses and stuff. Got the turfs, which are, one of my favorite shoes ever. So
how often do you go to games?
I try to go to a game, if it's a close one, away game, like every year. I don't know if there's going to be one this year, so we might have to fly to one, but last time I wore those actually was in 2019. We went out and watched the Browns and 49ers play. Like I said, my wife's family's all Browns fans, so got to watch them get beat down, but I wore those out there. So
yeah, that was my next question. I was like, do you wear these at games? Because you're bound to get stepped on once or twice, but those are clean.
The parking lot's kind of dusty out there at times, especially when it's dry. So it got kind of dusty. You got the Jimmy That Feels Great Baby T-shirt. You got
the man, the myth, the legend.
I know, right? But just a myriad of stuff that I've collected over the years of just kind of hanging on the wall. Different. I didn't go to some of these games obviously, but like different towels that were at the games. The last one, a Candlestick, Faithful to the Bay. A couple of the things I've gotten going to games. My daughter actually drew me that right there, so I got to hang that up there. Nice. So just some trinkets here and there.
It looked like you had was that a clock up there that I saw?
Oh, down this way. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't think it works anymore. It's so old, but
it's cool though. I love like vintage items like that.
Yep. And then kind of a lot of the centerpiece stuff, really. I mean, just different signed helmets. Got a couple Devos over here. Old Rice jersey. I actually painted this helmet myself. So we had a garage sale around the neighborhood, and they're selling some helmets. I took it and made it into something. Got the Bosa helmet right there. Got Frank Gore, the number 1 running back in the league. This ball right here, my son took it to. We went to a Titans Niners game, I think in 12, and they got Alex Boone, Patrick Willis, and Lance McDonald actually when he was the team. They got a couple signatures on that. It's pretty cool. So. And then this one, we can get a good picture of. This is kind of personalized, signed Young jersey. So the story behind that, I was younger. I was like 11. I ended up pretty much passing out. My heart stopped, and at the time they didn't know. I played sports growing up, football, basketball, stuff like that. And I was on the basketball court playing, and heart stopped, and had to be rushed to the emergency room. They found out I had a hole in my heart that I had since pretty much birth. So major surgery I had to, to kind of get prepared for at that point. And I don't know how I got linked to it, but as a Make-A-Wish kid, So we got to go out in '96. Actually, ironically, leading up to this, Young was actually hurt because, Young was kind of like the guy in my, he was my hero, growing up. So I think he had a growing injury that season, a couple games prior to that. And they were trying to get me out there earlier, but he just wasn't back. So ironically, we go out there to this game. They're playing the Bengals, which is his first time ever being out there. It's like, man, it couldn't have been a cooler team, but got to meet Young at the practice field, got to meet some of the players. Obviously, you can see the picture here, me and the family, in front of the kind of the trophy case back then and there. And got to go to the game that Sunday. But the ironic part is Young didn't start the game because he was hurt. I don't know if anybody remembers the game or not. 96 Bengals, I think, go up like 21-7, 21-0 or something like that. Gerbach started the game, got hurt, got knocked out in the second quarter with a shoulder injury, and Young has to come in and fill out the rest of the game. And he's like hobbling around out there. And at the time, wow. I'm sure the record's eclipsed, but the game-winning touchdown was Young with a naked bootleg, running to the end zone or hobbling to the end zone. That's kind of what this card is right here, if you can see it. Ended up winning the game for him at that point. So it's kind of a crazy story, a very humbling story. I don't tell people it very often just because, there's a lot more other folks out there a lot less fortunate than I am. And, luckily I got to meet great people that put this together to kind of, to realize a childhood dream of mine. I was lucky enough to have the surgery and survive it. And, I'm here raising my own kids at this point, but, it's a cool story, and it's like, I can never be thankful enough for Steve for, taking the time, even when injured, to do something like this. But, again, Steve, you're out there and you see this. Thank you. I appreciate your time that time around. So.
That's incredible, man. That's an awesome story. So so how long did it take to, I guess, make the wish? And then I don't know what that process is like. So how long did it take from that moment that you kind of submitted that to getting this to happen?
Yeah, so I don't know who submitted it, and it was a little bit of a journey. I mean, they do a lot of fundraising. I donated time as an adult too to the cause because it's just such a great organization to give back to folks. But we went to different gatherings where they were doing fundraising because the surgery I had. I mean, I was literally cut open and heart stopped, and they had to they ended up putting like a Gore-Tex patch to patch the hole up. So I mean, it was like an 8-hour surgery. So I mean, there was a lot of expense involved, and we weren't rich at all by any means growing up. I mean, so the fact that they were able to get me into something like that to take care of not only the medical aspect of it, but to give me this, but several months it took, but finally we got out there, and I'm sure there was timing involved because I don't recall the specific when it started though, but they had to probably align it to Steve's schedule or whatever else. So, but it was definitely several months. So
that's incredible. That's incredible, man. It's an awesome story.
Yeah, I appreciate it. And it's pretty much kind of it. It did talk about, over here for the non-Niners watchers, I got a little bit of an arcade set up over here for the
what?
for That's folks awesome. To come in. Yeah, so you got the Simpsons. They're gonna come in well. And then Mortal Kombat, NFL Blitz, which is popular, and then NBA Jam over here in the corner. So
Jesus, and then so where'd you get these from? Is that just things you've slowly kind of come up on online, eBay maybe?
Well, no, actually, they're retail stores. But to be honest with you, you catch them on sale at Kohl's, get a little Kohl's cash if there's a Kohl's around. Get a good deal on them. So
I had no idea that Kohl's even sold arcade games. That's awesome.
And this is a little digital pinball machine, so it's got all kinds of games customizable. So it's kind of cool too. So yeah. So it's kind of a complete, vibe down here. Like I said, with
2 TVs.
Well, I got another third one over there.
A full kitchen in the back too.
Yeah.
You have everything you need here.
Hey, you got it.
It's basically a sports bar. What's the longest amount of time you've spent down here? Because I see no reason to leave on a Sunday, for example.
Hey, I mean, Sundays is an all-day thing. It's a religion for us, and my wife knows I'll do whatever I need to do in the summertime. I'll do whatever chores she needs. But when Sundays come, football's on. it's an all day experience. And we sit down here. I mean, games start for us 1 o'clock Eastern, and we're down here till then. And obviously West Coast games, and we're down here till like 8 o'clock. So it's an all day event for me. So you got to have the main game on the big screen, but then you got to have the other two TVs with your rivals watching them lose. So
Before we end the tour here, obviously the item that means the most, I'd have to imagine, is the signed jersey you got from Steve Young.
Yep.
But let's just say, if there was a fire, God forbid, in your home, and you could only save one item, what would be that one item that you'd be running out with?
I mean, it probably would be that. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, it's not the greatest jersey in the world. It's just the memory and the experience, and that would be the one I'd have to run out with. I mean, some of this stuff you can buy on eBay or find cheap deals online. I'll continue to add to that side of the collection, but I'll never get that one back. I'll still have the memories though, but I'm not letting the jersey go down in the fire for sure. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's the best part about like some of these tours, right? It's not always about the most expensive item. In fact, it's usually the one that maybe not the most expensive, and it just has that sentimental value, that one of a kind item. And so that one, absolutely,
Yep.
I can see why it means so much to you, and it's incredible story. So appreciate you sharing, and thank you so much for sharing your space as well, because I agree. It is a vibe. It's nice and spacious. Like it is pretty much like your local sports dive bar in there.
Absolutely.
But Dom, thank you so much once again for sharing your space. Appreciate it. I know people are gonna love it. Go Niners, man.
Yeah, go Niners. I got a send off here. You ready? Let me see if I can get this to play real quick.
Let's do it.
This is a weekend occurrence as well. So.
Let's go.
Yeah, I love that horn so much. Every touchdown.
Oh yeah, man. Every touchdown. Oh, I love that, man. I mean, you pretty much feel like you're at the game with that. I love it. All right, man. Well, thank you so much once again.
Yeah,
thanks everyone for tuning in. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet and you want to see more fan cave tours just like Dom's. But for now, peace.
See ya. Thank you.